Breaking news, Kyle Whittingham has become the focus of the Michigan coaching search. And all I can say is, this is crazy.
You are Locked On Utes, your daily podcast on the Utah Utes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for making Locked On Utes your first listen and view of the day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. First time joining our show, make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network, and a huge shout out to our everydayers. So how about this? Kyle Whittingham to Michigan. It seems more likely than ever. In fact, it seems like it's on the precipice of happening. Reports surfaced earlier this morning from Pete Thamel and Dan Wetzel as well that Whittingham has emerged as the focus of the Michigan coaching search. And if you read their story available on ESPN.com, his candidacy is expected to be shared with Michigan's top officials on Friday, sources said, and a deal could come together in the near future if they approve. I'm a little shocked by how quickly this seemed to escalate. Now, different people have reported. If you look at what Alex Markham, who's a friend of the show at Ute Nation, said that, hey, this has been in the works for over a week in the making. Initial expectation was the announcement would hit after the bowl game. It's obviously sped up. And he also reports that Whittingham will target former Utah coaches on BYU's defensive coaching staff and keep Utah's defensive staff intact. So that'll be it. So we'll talk about the second part of that later. But the biggest thing is I am surprised because all the report, I still remember in the summer of 2024, when Kyle Whittingham told reporters, I probably won't be sitting in this chair talking about the head coach of Utah football in 2027. Now, it wasn't too long after that, right, that Morgan Scalley became the head coach in waiting. It's been widely reported that not this season we just wrapped up, but the 24 season was supposed to be Kyle Whittingham's last with Utah. It went poorly. He wanted to come back for another year. And all year long, he looked like a coach who had not lost that competitive fire. And clearly he hadn't. And clearly he wants a new challenge. And he wants Michigan. And I totally understand it from his perspective too, right? I mean, this is one of the top 5 jobs in the country. This is unlimited resources. I mean, genuinely, I think Michigan might have top 3 resources in the sport right now. LSU, Ohio State, Michigan. It might go in that order. Yeah, Georgia. Those other ones may be up there too. But this is an unreal opportunity for a coach who also maxed out his potential at Utah, I feel like. Right now, could you sit here and say, well, JT, Utah could have made the college football playoff with Whittingham. They could have won a Big 12 title. Like, yes, but he already won a P5 conference title, Pac-12, Big 12. I don't think there's a big difference between winning the old Pac-12 and if you win the new Big 12. So he's already done that. The only thing he didn't do is make the college football playoff. And he is now at a university that will provide him with better resources to do that than he did during his time at Utah. Like we just mentioned, it's all about NIL and the resources right now. And Michigan has some of the best in the country. Utah does not. I don't think Utah fans should harbor any ill will towards Kyle Whittingham for this move. As we mentioned, this is one of the best jobs in the country. I think it was Iowa State's AD, Jamie Pollard, said it best when Matt Campbell left Iowa State for Penn State. He said Matt Campbell doesn't owe Iowa State a thing. Kyle Whittingham doesn't owe Utah anything. They will name the field after him. Kyle Whittingham is Utah football. He created this program and elevated it to new heights through multiple conference transitions to conference titles, to a Rose Bowl stage, and multiple 10-win seasons. I mean, it's been an incredible tenure with this Utah team. And it seemed like he was ready to be done. I had heard he was interested in the Michigan job, but it seemed like to me, just based on everything transpired, that Kyle Whittingham was going to be content being like an NFL assistant coach, not assistant coach, an NFL advisory role. It just seemed like at this point in his career, what Kyle Whittingham wanted to do. And obviously he wants the challenge to still coach. It's almost, he's the one who said he was originally wanted to retire and all these things. And then it's almost like by people saying that or just going out with one last good year, like he just reignited that fire in himself and decided he wanted to keep going. And that he was, as I said multiple times, as he wanted to ride off into the sunset, the opportunity to take on one of the top jobs in the country became incredibly alluring to him. I mean, yes, he's 66 years old, but apparently he's unlocked this new fire that makes him want to, in some ways, have to do more during the offseason than he had to do at Utah, because Michigan's just a different level of a job. If this does come to fruition, and it seems like it's headed that way, I think there'll be some Michigan fans that don't love hiring a 66-year-old, but I mean, all I can say to that is you're still getting one of the best coaches in college football for my money. I mean, yeah, Kyle Whittingham's 66, but the only reason we've been talking about him retiring is just because of his comments a couple of years ago and the reports. So to me, he just unlocked a new fire, and he's ready for the Michigan job. I think it's a really good hire for Michigan. He is as close to a Michigan man without being one as you can get. The grit, the tenacity, you will become us, we will not become you, is a great fit. I mean, among the coaches that were rumored for this, Kalen DeBoer is one of the top 5 coaches in the sport to me, so I understood the interest in him. But even a Kenny Dillingham, a Jed Fish, who I think are outstanding coaches, Eli Drinkowitz, those aren't culture fits at Michigan to me. Kyle Whittingham is. The only thing that was holding Kyle Whittingham back was his age. And Kyle Whittingham seems like he's all in, obviously, in Michigan. He must have impressed Michigan. It's been reported he was interested in the job. I had heard he was interested in the job very early on, but their interest in him was curious. On Christmas Eve on Get Up, it was reported by Pete Thamel that Whitt was in the top 3 names to monitor after DeBoer and Dillingham. The first 2 names were kind of off the board, but now the spotlight shines brightly on Kyle Whittingham, and he's the focus. I've been told he wants the job. That's been reported for a little bit now, and it seems like this is all going to come together here rather quickly, and I think it's a really good move for both sides too. I think Kyle Whittingham's always done more with less. Let's just call it what it is. Utah's very rarely had elite recruiting classes. I think they had the one that was in the top 25, Spencer Fano, Smith Snowden. Maybe there were 2 classes that were in there, but Michigan will frequently be in the top 5 recruiting classes. And what's more the rage nowadays anyway? The transfer portal. He's going to have a chance to take over a team that was 9-3 last year with those 3 losses, one of them coming to USC. We obviously know Kyle is pretty good at beating USC. Then you lose on the road to Oklahoma, and you lost to maybe the best team in the country, the Ohio State Buckeyes, or second best because they lost to Indiana. So we're just looking at that and saying, okay, I can get things right there. Another reason I think that this hire is going to be made is because Michigan desperately needs stability in a tumultuous time for the university. The whole Sharon Moore saga. AD is Ward Manuel's under investigation. There's just a lot of reports leaking out of how toxic the culture had been at Michigan now for almost 2 years, ever since Moore took over. Kyle Whittingham is not toxic. Kyle Whittingham takes control of things, stabilizes things, and makes them into a battleship capable of not just making the college football playoff, but I think with these resources, Michigan will have a chance to be a national title contender next year. I think this is a great hire for the Wolverines, and I'm really excited to see how it's going to play out. But when you look at the state of Michigan football, this is a great move for them to get a coach who's going to stabilize, who will make the culture. You will become us. We will not become you. I am curious, as Alex Markham reported, what does the staff look like? Does he bring some guys from Utah? Does he bring guys from BYU? How does that all take shape? Who does he keep from Michigan? Because you obviously want to keep Bryce Underwood at all costs if you're Michigan. So how do you bring in an outside voice? And the other thing too is it's being reported that this is coming together, but there's no intel about like, hey, is this a 1-year thing with Kyle Whittingham? Is this a multi-year thing? We're still waiting on to see all of that. Based on the reporting right now, I just assume it's a multi-year deal, but we have to wait for the rest of that to be determined. But it's going to be fascinating to see how Kyle Whittingham does at Michigan. The only negative to Kyle Whittingham to Michigan, the only reason I think Michigan fans and some people doubted his candidacy was just because of the retirement noise that was in a lot of ways created by Kyle. And Kyle seems to be motivated by his own retirement narrative now to go out there, prove people wrong. And obviously he wants a chance to win a national title, which you have just a fact. You have a better chance to win a national title at Michigan than at Utah. I have zero issue with this move. I think it's a really smart one from Kyle. I think this was a natural point of, hey, especially too, as we look back, Moore and Scally named him the head coach in waiting. The longer Whitt stayed around, the more likely Scally was going to go chase his head coaching opportunity. It seemed like the right time for Morgan to take over, and now Whitt has the opportunity to take over one of the best jobs in the country. He passed on the opportunity long time ago to go to Tennessee. Would have given a better chance to win a national title. He stayed at Utah, made it awesome there. That was his quote himself. And now he has the opportunity to take on one of the best jobs in sport. He has an opportunity to compete for a national title at Michigan. Now he's going to chase and do that. So good for him. And I cannot wait to watch Michigan. I'm going to be rooting for Michigan next year. I hope Kyle Whittingham crushes it, but obviously stakes still have to come together here, but seems incredibly likely that the next head coach of the Michigan Wolverines is going to be Kyle Whittingham. What a wild world we live into. I am just fascinated how all of this is going to play out. We're going to wrap this up in one moment. This episode of Locked On Utes is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. Keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. College football playoff games right around the corner. We got bowl games revving up this weekend, even today. How about the NBA, college basketball, NHL too? FanDuel is the place to go. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com. Place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you with FanDuel Sportsbook. Hope you all had a fantastic Christmas. Thank you for making Locked On Utes your first listen and view of the day. I'm still stunned by this. Make sure you guys let me know how you're feeling in the comments too. Kyle Whittingham, the next Michigan head coach. Morgan Scallier underway. We got one last bowl game to celebrate Kyle Whittingham next week, and then he's off to take the reins of the Wolverines. So it's going to be fascinating to watch and see how this all plays out. We're going to continue to provide coverage all week long on Locked On Utes as well too. If this deal becomes official, we will talk about that. Who's going to join Kyle Whittingham? We'll talk about that as well. And is this going to work? I think it will, but we got a lot to break down on Locked On Utes. Thank you guys for making us your first listen and view of the day. And we'll be back with you soon talking more Utah football and even more Kyle Whittingham to Michigan. Wow. Have a great weekend, everyone.